All right, everybody, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive today.
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. So we're taking a look at Thailand's real estate market.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it seems like there's some interesting stuff happening over there.
Mm.
We came across this blog post called Revitalizing Thailand's Real Estate, a call for government support.
Okay.
And it really caught our attention. So, get this. Count them, 7 major real estate associations in Thailand have basically ganged up to try to get the government to step in and do something.
Wow. Okay. What's the main issue they're facing?
Well, they're saying it's this combination of high household debt and shaky consumer confidence.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that sounds a little familiar.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
little too familiar.
Yeah.
So we really want to dig in and figure out what is going on in Thailand right now.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the real story?
Exactly. What's the real story? Help us understand.
Well, it's really interesting because even though Thailand's economy is, they're saying it's supposed to grow, projections are looking up.
Right.
The real estate sector just isn't keeping pace. And these associations are saying this isn't just a couple of businesses struggling.
Right.
They're saying this is like a symptom of something,
Yeah.
bigger, deeper anxieties going on in the economy.
Yeah, and this article points to high household debt as like a major culprit here.
Yeah.
Can you unpack that for us a little?
Sure.
Like, how does that affect people's ability to buy property, to get into the market?
Well, imagine like walking around with a really heavy backpack all the time.
Okay, yeah.
That's what high household debt feels like for a lot of people in Thailand.
Uh-huh.
It really restricts their financial freedom
Mm-hmm.
and makes them really wary of taking on even more debt, even if it's for something like buying a house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's tricky because this high household debt is happening at the same time as wages just aren't really going up that much.
Right.
So people are stuck spending more and more of their income just to pay off debt,
Right.
which of course means they have less money for investing in things like property.
So basically, people are kind of strapped for cash, and then on top of that, they're just not feeling very confident about the future.
Exactly.
So, I mean, no wonder the real estate market is kind of hesitant, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so what are these associations actually hoping the government's going to do? Like, what do they want?
Well, they've got a pretty long list of demands.
Oh, really?
We're talking tax breaks.
Okay.
We're talking special low-interest loan programs designed for different income levels. They even want the government to change land allocation policies to try to make housing more affordable.
Wow.
Oh, and they want the Bank of Thailand to relax those lending restrictions.
Okay, so it sounds like they're really pulling out all the stops, huh? Tax breaks, easier loans. I mean, on the surface, that sounds like a pretty sweet deal for anyone who wants to buy a place.
Right.
But is that really enough? I mean, are these incentives really going to solve the real problem here,
Yeah.
which is low consumer confidence?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah. And this is where it gets interesting. These associations are smart. They know just throwing money at the problem isn't going to do much.
Right.
So they're also pushing for these measures that directly affect people's lives, things like expanding cash handout programs that are already in place and improving public transportation. Their thinking is, if you can improve people's lives overall, give them a sense that the economy is solid, then they're going to feel more comfortable, more secure about investing in real estate.
This whole thing about improving public transportation is really intriguing to me.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about how that would actually affect the real estate market? Sure. So imagine this. Better public transport suddenly makes those neighborhoods further away from the city center way more appealing to buyers.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right. So then it takes some pressure off those really crowded, expensive urban areas and opens up new, more affordable housing choices.
Right, yeah.
It's like a domino effect, a ripple effect of positive change.
It's interesting, okay. But what if these measures backfire? I mean, are there downsides to things like tax breaks?
Sure.
And what about the long-term effects of easing up on those lending restrictions?
Yeah, you're right to be asking those questions. It's not a simple fix. It's tricky.
Right.
Tax breaks, for instance, could lead to a property bubble
Oh.
if they're not managed carefully. And relaxing lending restrictions, well, on the one hand, that might help some people finally afford to buy a place. But on the other hand, it could mean people end up with even more debt in the long run.
Right.
So, yeah, it's like walking a tightrope. It's a balancing act.
Okay, so let's step back for a second.
Okay.
What's the bigger takeaway here?
Yeah.
What can we learn from what's going on in Thailand?
Well, I think Thailand's real estate situation is a really good example of the challenges so many countries are facing right now. It's like, how do we boost our economies without creating a whole bunch of instability?
Yeah.
And how do we find that sweet spot between what people need right now and making sure things are sustainable for the long haul?
Yeah.
It's a complex problem. It's like a giant puzzle with a ton of pieces.
Yeah.
And what the Thai government's trying to do, with this blend of financial incentives and these social programs, it's a really interesting case study for other countries that are dealing with the same kinds of issues.
Really makes you think,
Yeah.
Imagine you're, I don't know, a young couple in Thailand right now.
Yeah.
You're dreaming of buying your first home. I mean, are these measures, all these things they're proposing, is it actually going to give people like that the confidence to take the plunge?
That's a great question. And, that kind of leads to another question for everyone listening. Could what the Thai government's trying to do with their real estate market, could it teach other countries something? What are the similarities? And maybe even more importantly, are there any potential pitfalls that other countries can avoid?
Ooh, something to think about. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us for another deep dive. See you next time.
Thanks for having me.